Yah. Let thy enemy be scattered. Let those that hate thee flee from before thee.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Toda for sharing that. And then the other part of the Mount Sinai expedition, talk to us about that.
Wow. You know what? When you said that, I pictured myself on that bus with Nasik Shaliak going down the great Mount Sinai expedition. And Adon Gershon was driving it.
Okay, so tell me about that, because that's something I didn't go on.
You didn't go on?
I was always at work. You know, I spent years in Tel Aviv working, or Beersheba, so tell me about that.
Abba Shaliak staged a journey for a group of people that he had selected, and he called it the Great Sinai Expedition. And in order to be on this expedition, you had to have that thing that clicks. Mm-hmm. You know, he used to say, "Oh, she's got that thing that clicks." So he wow. Y'all don't understand. Everybody didn't get the opportunity to experience Abba Shaliak.
Right.
You know. And we got so many wow moments, and the Great Sinai Expedition was definitely one. We went down on Sinai to St. Catherine's Monastery, that whole area, because Nasik Shaliak wanted to see if it was even feasible to journey as, more than 1 million people through that area with elders, donkeys, sheep,
Children, babies,
pregnant
toddlers,
women,
right?
You know, and when he got down there and he saw the terrain, he said, "There's no way that this is Mount Sinai." You know, we was kind of disappointed because we was into the whole Six of Be the Meal thing. You know,
right.
We wanted to see it.
Right.
We wanted to see, you know.
So exactly where was that you all went to?
We went down to Sharm el Sheikh.
Okay.
You know, where Trump just met.
Right. Right.
Yeah, to St. Catherine's Monastery.
Okay.
We didn't go up into the monastery because, no, they wouldn't let us up in that close. But Abba Shaliak was able to do a surveillance of the area his way, the way he does things. Mm-hmm. And
a spiritual surveillance.
Yep. As
a spiritual investigator.
A spiritual investigation of the matter.
Right.
So he concluded that no, this was not Mount Sinai. Mm-hmm. And so we all left there.
Disappointed.
I'm going to tell you, the trip was so awesome. We slept under the stars.
Oh, y'all spent the night.
We spent the night in the middle of nowhere.
Did y'all have tents? Did y'all have mats?
I just told this girl under the stars.
Well, the tents are under the stars. That doesn't mean you could have been laid out looking, you know what I'm saying?
No, we were under the stars. Be like, you were laid out looking, but you were laid out on your pillow and your sheets.
So you all at least did have mats and stuff to lay on.
We had some mats and blankets. And so, you know, usually we are... Like when we went up to Kofa Tamar in Tiberias, we were in a hostel of some sort. So I don't know why we were expecting to be in a hostel. But hey, I'm gonna tell y'all, it was awesome. And we went down there, and I'm gonna tell you this little story.
Okay.
We were tired. We had the whole day going on.
So it was a bus full of you all.
It was a bus full. And Nasik had all of our mats and stuff on the bus. Imagine what people thought when they seen this bus coming down the street. With all these mats and bags and stuff on the top of Adon Gershon's bus at that. So anyway, we were traveling Hebrew style. So, like I said, expected to be in a hostel, but when the sun went down and it got dark, because we were out in a very cleared out, nowhere area, there were no lights. There were no lights. And we had flashlights and things like that to help us. But as far as lighting, where you would say a camping area would have,
Right. None of that.
none of that. So we would laid everything out. We were all relaxed, and we were hee ha ha talking about the day, because Albert gave us a lot to talk about during the day. But we were reflecting on our journey that day, and it looked like somebody was walking up towards us with a cigarette. We was like, oh man, it's an Arab walking up on us with a cigarette. And so we told the brothers, there's an Arab walking up on us with a cigarette. The brothers would get together. It was like, because,
Mm-hmm.
And the cigarette started getting bigger, right? It started getting closer. We said, well, it's a flashlight. And then as it got closer, we heard a motor. We were in the middle of the street on our mats.
In the middle of the street.
We was in the middle of a dirt road, which is obviously a thoroughway that we did not pay any attention to. And boy, Abba said, brothers, get the sisters. Grab the mats. Oh, you should have seen us scrambling. And so we grabbed the mats. And of course, we laughed all night. It was awesome. We laughed all night.
City dwellers.
We laughed all night. It was so funny. We had such a good time, but we were able to go into they had a beach facility up the road, just shower and get refreshments and things like that. But we were basically raw. And this is how the Great Sinai Expedition began. And I didn't get the opportunity to go with Abba Shaliach on all of those journeys.
Oh, so he did a number of them.
He was searching for Mount Sinai.
Wow.
Because for him and understanding the prophecies, it became apparent that a major prophecy, according to the book of Enoch, would unfold at Mount Sinai in the latter days. Mm-hmm. So Abba Shaliach was looking for Mount Sinai, and I mean he was looking, and it was I felt some unfinished business that he would have loved to finish. So after continuing my spiritual journey and realizing that the earth was also a spiritual body, it had spiritual centers. It had a grid of spiritual lines, energy lines, and I did a batik of the Temple of the Dome of Rock, and I did some study, and I realized at that point that it was sitting on a very significant energy center.
Okay.
So then I got curious, as I asked the internet, what was the most powerful energy center on the earth? And I kept getting back Mount Masa, Mount Moshe, and then eventually Mount Sinai.
Okay.
And so after I put two and two together and saw how worthy the whole Mount Sinai question was of investigation, I began to investigate it myself.
Okay.
And I came up with some work from a man. His name is William Artsma, and he's a nuclear physicist.
Okay.
And he has several books that he's an author of several books. But he did an extensive work on the big question of where is true Mount Sinai located.
Okay.
And he has extensive information on the internet under the website, The Biblical Chronologist.
Okay.
All you have to do is go to The Biblical Chronologist and look up the location, the true location of Mount Sinai, and you'll find the videos and the writings and all of his his findings and his work that he did there. And one day I got bold enough to take some people out there.
So
and go
he
behind him.
indicated, where did he indicate that he felt the true Mount Sinai was?
Yeah, I'm skipping to the good part. Okay.
No, don't let me.
No, I actually needed to answer that question first.
Okay.
Toda Rakaya. He felt that Mount Sinai was Mount Yerukum. And he said, a humble mountain. Mm-hmm. And he reminded in his writings that 70 elders climbed that mountain. And his work is very extensive, and he found all of the characteristics and the findings there, like the pottery shards. Mm-hmm. He carbon dated everything, and he was convinced
that Mount
Yerukum was
the actual Mount Sinai.
Actual Mount Sinai, and so when I saw this, coupled with the information about it possibly being the most powerful energy center on the planet, actually representing, I don't want to get too deep, but it represents the air vortex, which is the most powerful vortex on the planet, which is the catalyst for the smooth operation and the movement of energy of all of the vortices combined on the planet.
Okay.
This is what the air vortex does. It's the catalyst. It's the coordinator, And so I felt like, okay, this is research worthy. And I would love to finish his work or add to it, or at least add more questions so I can place this suggestion here, because I think that this information is good, it's sound. So I went to investigate myself. And I went out there and some more steps on this spiritual journey. My journey has been spiritual just like this on this wise. I went out there and I found the altar.
Okay.
On the spur of the mountain, as Professor Arzma stated it was. He said that this was he called it the Bama, the altar that Moses built with the 12 pillars. And yes, there are two altars there.
Okay.
One is the one that I saw when I first got there, and after years of just going back and forth out there, I tell you, I've been out there so much investigating. Me and several other people as well. There are other altars as well. There are altars all up in the mountain on the side where there's obviously a ram's face carved into the mountain.
You showed me that.
There, that was one of the sacred places of the Amorites. And when Moses and Joshua came through, it was said, according to the Biblical Chronicles website, that they drove the Amorites out. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it holds a lot of history. I noticed Catholic priests and nuns out there praying and having lunch. I noticed that a lot of the Dati take their children out there for recreation and whatever it is that they do out there. I've seen a lot of Dati out there praying. This is just a place where they go. So I felt like that it's possible that it may be some substance to this. I'm not one to declare emphatically.
Right.
But
you feel like it has some validity.
It has some validity, and it is a holy place. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more to it that I'm not going to mention right now, maybe at another time.
Okay.
But, yeah, and so what I did was I did a PowerPoint, took it to the scholarship body.
Okay.
And so I was able to take the scholarship body out there and take them and show them the different features that were pointed out on the internet that gave it validity and supported the evidence, and it was quite convincing.
You've also taken some sisters out there for prayer sessions, right?
The Ascension Prayer Circle, we would go up there and pray and forget where we were. It was so spiritual up there. I mean, we would take the incense and take off the shoes, and we did the whole thing. But, you know, these things are spiritually healthy.
Right.
You know, and these are the kind of things that we should incorporate into our lifestyle on a regular basis. You know, so this is somewhere where I like to go. It's very special to me because I've done excessive work and investigation, taken a lot of pictures and done a lot of editing. And I can tell you that it is investigation worthy.
Are you planning another prayer session or visit there anytime soon?
Rakaya put me on the spot.
Yep, I'm putting you on the spot.
She's
doing
it.
Absolutely, because I like to see things get done.
You know, but we should, because there is a number of sisters, you know, that say, Devorah told me, Eshad Rabi, it's about Sinai is calling me. Yeah, you know, sisters that have been out there that really want to go back because they could feel it.
What about brothers? Have you taken any groups of brothers?
Yes.
Okay.
I took brothers out there. I was blessed to be able to have a conversation at length with the Shagriya right at the altar.
Wow.
Where he talked about his journey and some things that he wanted to change and make right. You know, I was able to witness that there at the altar.
Wow.
You know, I've taken visitors. There's a sister, her name is Adama. She operates at a radio station out of Atlanta. I took her up there at 4 o'clock in the morning for prayer.
Wow.
We did a sunrise prayer. She took her wand with her. And you know, I'm sure it empowered her and enhanced her spirituality because she has been doing phenomenal things. Not saying that that's the cause. This is awesome anyway. But she really appreciated it so much, and she was so determined that the morning of her flight, now she's supposed to leave the Kheftsibah at 9:30, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be at Ben Gurion by, I think, 11.
Right.
We up on Mount Sinai at sunrise in Yerukum. You know, she was so determined to do this. So I was like, if she's determined to do this, I put her in the car. We drove out there, me, her, and Kheftsibah. It was dark, you know. And the people were out there fishing, very friendly. Wow. And they were like, if y'all don't bother us, we're not going to bother y'all. You know, but it was very spiritual. We climbed up the mountain, and by the time we got up there, the sun was rising. We were able to.
How long does it take to climb up usually? About?
Maybe about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Taking your time.
Okay.
It's about 10 minutes, and you have to, when you get up high, you know, you have to watch your step. So you have to take your time. Mm-hmm. But I love it.
Okay, y'all be waiting because Kheftsibah is going to announce when she's going to do this and invite some individuals to go. You know, maybe it might turn into a monthly thing, you know, once a month where she takes a group out.
Some brothers have asked me about taking people over there.
It's time. And
one brother in particular suggested that would be a good idea to open it up. So, I'm thinking about it.
So y'all keep listening, all right?
Yeah.
She's going to let y'all know.
I will. It has to be done. Certain things have to be done.
Yeah. And, I mean, we don't know if by not doing certain things we are putting off blessings or empowerment that is due us, and we're just not getting it because we're not, you know, tapping into.
That's why you have to follow your gut. You have to believe in your journey and your creativity, because not everyone was suited up identically.
Right.
You know, my dream may be this, your dream may not be the same thing.
Right.
It doesn't invalidate my dream. And certainly mine does not invalidate yours. But together, we can make some very, very positive changes if we support one another in the things that we do, no matter sometimes how spacey or extra spiritual or even extraterrestrial, it might seem.
Y'all, we ain't even getting ready to go into that. That's a whole nother, that'll be a whole nother podcast with Kheftsibah.
We're not going there. We're not going there.
Y'all gotta know her. Y'all gotta know
We're
her.
not going there today. Okay.
We'll have to have a whole podcast that's just on that particular topic, and we'll have specific guests that are available to. Once I get some more microphones, and we can broaden it out.
Like El Ami. Shout out to El Ami.
Okay, so we have one more question. And Toda for that. That was so informative.
It's like that, though. This is my black eyed peas, y'all, and cornbread. This is what keeps me going. Seriously.
So, we have one more question, but before I ask this last question, and we still have a whole three more sections to do. Okay, yeah, your interview is going to be long. We're just going to put it in two parts. But I wanted to go back and just ask you. I forgot to ask you earlier. What made you go into the Navy?
Get out the neighborhood.
Is that what it was?
Actually, trust me, I was not patriotic. But my mother had 7 brothers, and all 7 were military men.
Oh, okay.
My grandmother had 2 daughters. Mm-hmm. So 7 of her children fought in the Korean War and World War II. Some of them were in Japan. I mean, so information about the military was very commonplace in our family. And so my sister was convinced by one of my uncles, my older sister, Benita. Hey, Benita. Anyway, she was convinced to go into the Navy. She's a year older than I am.
Okay.
And so when I looked at the benefits, you know, they pay your for your education. At that time, there were massive benefits that you could.
Housing benefits,
get a GI
educational
loan for your
benefits,
house.
yeah.
Then while you were in there was dental, you know, and then you were able to go to trade schools to learn trades. Right. It was pretty good. And then just the exposure, you out of the neighborhood, you know, in a good way. You know, you're protected. You're not somewhere where your parents is really worried about, do you have a roof over your head?
Right, or if you're eating and all that, yeah.
Exactly. So once my sister went in, she was stationed in Washington, D.C., and I saw that, you know, she was dealing with it pretty well.
Okay.
I was like, well, okay, I can do that too. And so...
So you were stationed in the U.S. the entire time?
I was stationed out, well, they threatened it to send me to Okinawa, Japan. But because I didn't know anybody there, I was like, nope, not doing that. But I was stationed in Orlando, Florida. Orlando, Florida for basic training, and in Washington, D.C. for my duty station, where I went and worked in different areas like the Pentagon and the Bureau of Personnel. You know, I would find myself in some of those places, temporary additional duty. Plus, I played basketball in the Navy, so I would travel for the championship games and stuff like that. You know, but yeah.
Okay.
Totally. That's what made me go in, because then what was enticing is not only was she really able to get in there and live a decent life, I was guaranteed a spot with her on duty with her.
With your sister.
So they had this thing called sister duty.
And
when everybody was getting their orders to go to their duty station, they called my name, say, you going to sister duty in Washington, D.C. with your sister.
Oh, wow.
I was really happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Told our bye. Okay. So the last question in your bio section. As a School of the Prophets graduate in herbology, what sparked your interest in the field of agriculture? What are some of the things that you've done in this area? Tell us about Gan Evyatar project. I saved that for last because I know that's extensive.
Yeah.
And what are your dreams for the project?
Ooh, that's loaded.
Okay.
First of all, I graduated from the School of the Prophets in New World Chronicles, which is history.
Right.
back in the time when the Prince Chancellor was teaching New World Chronicles. So that was a very peculiar blessing. And I went back when Acote Sharona was teaching herbology some years back.
Okay.
And I took the herbology class because...
Shout out to Coach Sharona.
Shout out Sharona. And so I kind of, being an artist and a seamstress was great. But as I moved into teaching, it woke up a part of me that really wanted to do more for the people hands-on. And so I took the herbology class, and I graduated from herbology, and I made moringa my specialty. Because during the time that I was in herbology class and learning what I was learning, physiology, anatomy, and all about herbs and different properties of the herbs, et cetera, I learned about moringa oleifera, which is commonly called the miracle tree or the horseradish tree. In the Philippines, they call it malungi, and they also call it malungi in India. And it's got all different names all over Africa. But this tree has such a portfolio of healing testimonies that I was moved to make it my area of concentration upon graduating. All of us were asked which area would we concentrate in. So I said, I want to concentrate on the moringa tree.
Okay.
So I did that. The first move was to find Nasik Yadiel and let him know about it and tell him about it. I did one day. He was crossing over to Maricot's Park. I told him about moringa and if he could be looking out for it on the continent, because he spent a lot of time there in agriculture. And I also got to work and began to look for seeds and trees here in Israel.
Okay.
And sure enough, he came back with a few trees that he planted behind the school. I was just really fascinated, And they planted trees out on the farm at the agricultural project out here.
At the end of the city? Okay.
Yeah. So we have moringa trees out there. And then I was able to get a tree here in the city that I saw one day and went and talked to the people.
That was where we harvested the first time I ever went with you?
Yep. I just went and knocked on her door.
Okay.
And it goes to show you what following your gut does. And, it just brought forth the whole project. So they told me that I could come and harvest their moringa tree every year. Mm-hmm. And me and Rikaya and everybody else that didn't mind getting dirty, we would go out there and harvest the leaves and dry them, and I would get the seeds and bring them back home, and began to experimenting with propagating moringa powder and propagating coming up with a way to propagate the trees.
Right.
So it happened. 2008, 2009, 2010. I think it was in 2010 or 11 where I actually was able to set out the trees, the first trees behind the dome.
Okay.
And some of those trees are still there. They're
today.
Huge and flourished. So I was able to create from this one tree a moringa business where I now am able to create the moringa powder. I have the, industrial grinder.
Okay. What other products do you have besides the moringa powder?
First of all, who helps me out? Rikaya.
I've helped occasionally.
Oh, no, y'all. Oh, no. What time you be coming out there in the morning? It's more than an occasional assist. Rikaya has really, really come through for this moringa project. And she literally, if she could do it, she's out there, y'all, sometimes before 6.
Yeah.
And I know I have picked her up before 6.
Yes, you have.
So, and this is how it took place, of people that are willing to put in their energy to see what comes forth. And so this is how it was done. And a lot of people helped me. A lot of people helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've had a number of people come over long before I knew anything about Moringa.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people helped me. Betsalel Ish Shel Yedaya. He helped me plant the initial seeds that created the Gan Eviatar Moringa project.
Wow. So you started them from seed.
I started them from seeds.
Wow.
Yes. And the lady that allowed me to harvest a tree she was an elderly woman, but she was very able until she took that particular vaccine. And unfortunately, she passed away shortly after that.
Okay.
But her daughter continued to let me come and harvest, and I had my last harvest over there. As far as I know, they cut the tree down.
Oh, wow.
And it's okay, because it was so rewarding to, one day I was over there cleaning up, and she walks in the gates, the daughter.
At the dome?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
She walks in the gates, and she's like, "Oh, wow, you did this,"
Right.
It was the seeds from their tree that created all those trees at the dome. And I'm still looking for places to plant more trees, because unfortunately I had to lose about 70 trees from behind the dome.
When they were doing the renovation, all of which she had done over there for years, 10 years you had going on over there?
More like 13.
So a lot of trees were lost, a lot of growth that she had. You had lemongrass, you had greens, we had to move everything from out of there.
We had to clean it out.
So she did lose a lot.
So, it's just in transformation, because it's changing for the better, and I'm gonna put it out there just like that.
Absolutely, that's what we're gonna focus on. We're gonna focus on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what are some of the products you have? I know you have the moringa powder. I know you have the moringa tincture, both of which I have at my house.
And we have the moringa hair oil.
Okay, moringa hair oil.
And we're working on some other things as well. I don't want to expose right now.
Okay, all right.
But we're working on it.
Okay, all right. Great. So going forward, what do you see for Gan Eviatar?
I am praying that there's a way to expand this into a massive project, to the point where we can literally bathe in moringa. I believe that moringa will eliminate some of these ailments that have become critical challenges.
Right.
As far as the health of the community. I believe that if we process it correctly and apply ourselves and commit ourselves to the healing powers of moringa, that we can eliminate a lot of illness around here. Mm-hmm. So we must expand the project. We must.
Definitely.
And this is my
So
vision.
that
This
would
is my
require
hope.
getting some land.
Land.
Dunums
and dunums.
Dunums. How many dunums?
How many dunums? You gonna ask a moringa tree grower how many dunums?
As many as you can get, huh?
3,000 dunums. I would say we could easily start off with, we could have a handsome project going on with 40 or 50 dunums.
Let me ask you this. Do you know if, as I don't know how land is zoned here, but would you able to get land where it's zoned where you can actually grow, but you could actually live, say a moshav somewhere, where you could actually live there so that you could have your factory there for production?
No, I'm not privy to the details
Right.
of that, but I know that there are situations, and setups where you can get land and construct temporary homes and processing areas.
Okay. Well, let's put it out there.
Yes, out there.
Get it out there. Okay, so we have concluded all of your bio questions.
Okay.
And now we move to the fun part of our trivia questions.
Okay.
So we have these little questions here in this basket.
Oh, Lord.
Different categories. You can pick all one color. You can pick one of each color. Pick 5. Don't read them, though. Pick them. Give them to me, then I'll read them. Okay, give me one more. Whatever color you want. You're so funny. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, fill in the blank. Name at least 5 current businesses in Israel owned or operated by someone that grew up in the kingdom. The business name and the person's name, if you know both.
Tabadeli.
Tevadeli,
Sar Kalaya.
Sar Ben Kolai. Okay.
Sar Ben Kalaya.
One of your initial investors in
One
your
of my
artwork.
initial investors that believed in me enough to part with some of his money and invest in what I was doing. He didn't have to do that, but he did it, and I paid him back every penny, right, Sar?
All right. You mean another one?
Well, Ruel is going to get me for not knowing the exact name of his business.
What does he do with his business?
Ruel is an engineer, and he creates water maintenance systems and management systems for homes and buildings.
Oh, okay.
And that is his personal business.
All right. Okay.
That's 2. Well, you really testing the brain before breakfast. Let's see. 3 is Gan Hasignon,
Okay.
which is owned by Atara Bat El,
Okay.
the sewing center. Let's see. Now we are number 4 is Rakamim Textiles,
Okay.
which is owned by Atara Catriela.
Okay.
Okay. And number 5. Number 5.
Coming in at number 5, we
Coming in
have.
at number 5. real challenging. Let's see. Who is number 5? Number 5 would be the vegan restaurant that is owned by Ak El Panay's family.
Tasty
Tasty
vegan.
Vegan.
Tasty vegan.
Yay!
Shout out to all of our businesses.
Shout out.
Okay. Favorites. Your favorite teacher.
My favorite teacher that I had,
Either growing up or in the kingdom.
my favorite teacher is by far the Prince Chancellor.
I knew it. Abba Shaliach. I knew that's who it was going to be. Abba Shaliach.
Because learning wasn't just learning, it was a 5th-dimensional experience. Because he took you there.
Hallelujah. Were you there? Day of the Show of Strength, April 1986.
Was I there? I was standing there 4 months in conception with Ruel, my first child.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you at in line? I asked.
I was in front of Rofe Malakael's house, standing there.
Like, you're the 3rd or 4th person that I talked to that we were all in that same section.
Really?
I was in front of, between Rofa Malakael
Right,
and
well,
Nasa Gabriel's Bayit.
Right, we could turn around towards his body and hold our heads up and see the power rifle on the tripod aiming at us.
Yeah, and I was in between the team, so I could see in between back on this back street with all the soldiers that were lined up all the way down the street.
Yeah, that was
a day.
That was a day.
That was a day. That whole season. So,
We will wait.
we will not leave the kafar. Yes.
Yeah, but Kohen Oman, them, they was ready to thug.
Well, we all know Kohen Oman. Shout out to Kohen Oman. We miss you.
We miss you. We love your spirit.
Absolutely.
You was not scared of nothing.
Nothing and nobody.
Nobody. And we loved and depended upon your courage.
Yes. Hallelujah. Were you there? Kifar sales in the early days or in your youth?
Kifar sales
Food sales we used to have. You remember anybody?
I remember when I got here, it was just food. The brothers that were pursuing me was bringing me cake, sandwiches, and it was food everywhere. I remember.
Who made something that you really enjoyed?
Ooh, let me see. It's got to be a Tori's ice cream.
A Tori's ice cream.
It was like, you remember the ice cream line?
I remember the ice cream line from the Shikun. What else?
I remember the brothers used to sell wine. I remember the first wine that I tasted was Sadakius. And then until that day, I didn't know that Kingdom wine would make you drunk. But there was the wine. Then it was the cake.
Who made cake?
Yafia made cake.
Oh,
And,
okay.
I just remember her cake because at the time I was living at Sardi's house.
Oh, you lived at Sardi's at one
I
point?
did.
Oh, okay.
I
lived at his house in the Shikun.
You did?
Mm-hmm. He was out on assignment, but yeah.
Yep, I remember her cake. She could really make that cake.
Okay.
I remember Imagilatia's
Chickpea burgers? No, she didn't sell
the Temple burgers.
The Temple burgers, that was Imadarda.
Imadarda's
with the
Temple
burgers, the chickpea burgers. But Ima Gilati is so different. What did she sell?
She sell loaves.
Okay.
But
But she sold sandwiches at one time too, didn't she?
Did she?
I remember out the side window.
You said Temple burger. Now you got me wanting a Temple burger right now. And my daughter's Temple burgers were so good. Nobody could figure out her secret ingredient.
They were good.
But so
you know what I used to love though? Ima Bina's crisp sandwiches.
Yeah.
Oh man, those were so good.
She used to walk out the door and say, "Crispy, crispy."
They'd be gone so fast. I loved crisp sandwiches.
Oh, I remember that.
Your personal thoughts on healing, forgiveness, trauma, mental health.
Healing, forgiveness, trauma, and mental health. You know, I ain't trying to sound spooky, but our parents were healing. You know, we were born into a situation where our parents were challenged with healing from things that they had gone through, you know, and trying to deal with mental challenges and maintaining a certain level of mental health. I think that a great part of healing is committing yourself to a very, very strong, healthy spiritual practices.
Okay.
Because if you just all committed to the mundane, it just, to me, it's a maze that you can never get through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not adequate solutions to even the basic treatment that psychoanalysts and psychiatrists offer. You still need to come back and do a spiritual cleansing and look at your spiritual life and the things that you practice to keep yourself spiritually sound. You know, you're still going to have to come back and do that.
Right.
If you don't, I mean, you know, you can wing it. We wing it.
Yeah.
We wing it, but you don't have to.
Right.
You know, it's you heal to the level and as much and as thoroughly as you commit yourself to.
Exactly.
You can only you can limit your healing.
Yeah.
Only you. And only you have the power to heal yourself. So, you know.
Others can help, they can guide, they can direct, assist.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it has to be, at the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, the end of the day, has to be your choice.
Right. And even in situations of mental health, especially in mental health, I really think that family is so important there. You know, for me, family is everything.
Right.
Because there is strength in the family that you're not going to find
Right.
anywhere else.
If it's a healthy family.
If it's a healthy family.
Right.
And that's why And I'm going to wait to answer this, make this statement when you ask me the last question.
Okay. All right.
The children.
Okay. And so that is where we're actually moving into now, our youth, the section on our youth. So, how do you envision our youth continuing to build upon the foundation that has been laid? What advice would you give them? What 3 things do you want most for them?
Wow. The question is so loaded. Mm-hmm. I would say...
Intentionally.
Rakaya wrote the question, y'all. One thing I learned about the children when I was teaching at Bay Safer Akva is that each one of them, you could tell which families they came out of. Mm-hmm. You could tell the things that they were doing in classroom, and you could connect it to the things that they were facing and dealing with in
their homes. If you knew, yeah.
If you knew. Mm-hmm. I mean...
And if you didn't know specifically, you knew it was something based on what was going on.
Exactly. So, what I have to answer the last part of the question first, of what I really want for the children. The first thing that I want for the children is the best possible loving and balanced upbringing and the rearing that they can receive. Because when a child knows that you love them, and you don't have to show that love by giving them everything or agreeing with everything.
Right.
That they
that's really not love.
That's not love. That's not. But if you let a child know that you are listening, mm-hmm. and you care about how they feel, and you care about what they need, and you nourish them and nurture them the best you possibly can, and they know that you're doing that.
Right.
This, to me, is the first most important thing that I want for the children. The second thing is that for them to be raised in a manner that we know we can respect them. Mm-hmm. Because you got to raise a child that you can respect. Because if you raise a child that you can't respect, I mean, what did you do?
Right.
First of all, the child has direction, and the child in and of him or herself is respectful. Mm-hmm. That child is considerate. The child understands the process of becoming or beginning to understand the process and the things that he or she has commit to become a whole person, mm-hmm. or being on the path to becoming a whole person. You know, that's all you really want, because we're not perfect. That means that we're not going to raise totally perfect children, but we do have the keys, mm-hmm. to put a child on a good, strong path. We have it, you know. And so this is the second thing. For a child to be raised in a manner that they can be respected by their parents and others. And that's essentially learning respect.
Right.
They got to know what it is. And it's not all shutting up, you know, and you can't talk.
Right.
No. Respect is going to come a lot from allowing them to express themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of it's going to come largely from that. So that's the second thing that I want for the children. Another thing that I want for the children is that I want the children to somehow be able to take the silver lining from what may seem to be to them a disadvantaged lifestyle.
Okay.
What do I mean by that? There's a silver lining because, first of all, our children are seriously unique. They've been blessed to, first of all, to be born in the Holy Land. And that in and of itself is a sacred privilege. And it puts them on a certain level. You know, you have to work real hard to mess that up. It all has to do with children learning that okay, it's just certain things that are not going to be healthy habits as you grow up.
Right.
You know, I really want them to get, you can't mistreat people.
Right.
You know, and sometimes mistreating can be that bad relationship between a woman and her husband. He may be thinking that he's the Lord, or he's the man, therefore he has the right to, you know, speak to her a certain kind of way or order her in a manner that lacks respect. But that's not necessarily true. And I really don't want our children to pick up those misdefinitions, and misnomers, and mutated ideas that give them what they think is a ticket to have a personality that lacks balance.
Right.
You know, I really, because basically we have very good children. I love them. They're so special. Mm-hmm. And so I believe in our children. And I just think that when the way that we behave in front of them needs to be looked at a little closer than some of the things that we have taken into our belief system and casually throw around, how it is affecting the generations to come.
Right.
So I really want to see our children relieved of some of those things so that they can have a better shot, you know, of becoming a whole person, you know.
Right.
And this, to me, is the foundation to making them good, respectful people. So you feel what I'm saying?
You know I
really
do.
want
Absolutely.
this for the children, and I see it in some of them, you know, as they grow and mature. But I think that we need to take a closer look at it. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe this is something that we can begin to groom our teenagers with.
Right.
You know, like they have classes sometimes on the Sabbath day. These are some of the things that, you know, are fundamental in character that they could easily slip and just take on into their personality that they're not even conscious of.
Right. Hallelujah. Okay. So our next section, that was our youth, Toda Abba. Mm-hmm. And we've come to section 5, which is our closeout section. And we have 5 questions in that section. Okay.
And I wanted to say, the last line that I want to say before you go to that section is, with those fundamental things in place, a child can dream and become anything that they want to. That's the success. The success is the fundamental building blocks of a good, sound, balanced character and spiritual health and personality. The rest of it is just the icing. Mm-hmm. But that fundamental part is the cake.
Right. And who wants to just eat icing and have nasty cake?
Right. Or have an old shoe under some icing.
Right. An old shoe. Right. Absolutely. We give these examples and make it real. Yeah. Okay. So our last section. There is a saying that hindsight is 20/20. When you look back over your life, are there things you'd have done or actions that you'd have taken that you would do differently?
I would have to say no. I was going to be silly and say I should have asked the shot grill for more money. No, because I've said it a lot of times on this podcast, I believe in my journey. Mm-hmm. I believe in my journey, and I can see where my steps, every step was ordered and forged by synchronicities and decisions that I never saw coming.
Right.
So I know that my life is not my own. I know and I understand and appreciate my connection with my people. Mm-hmm. And part of the appreciation and love for that connection has come from the things that I've experienced good, bad, and ugly.
Right.
But the silver lining to that is a balance, a very good balance, a spiritual attitude towards your life, you know. And so I've learned so much on this journey.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I could have learned the things that I learned without going through
The things that you have experienced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's like saying, I appreciate, first of all, I appreciate and love who I am. I know that some people say that I can be different. Some people say I'm a space cadet.
You're unique. You are your own being, as we all are.
Yeah, but it's my uniqueness that makes me who I am. And my uniqueness came and was forged by all of these experiences that I had. And so I have to say that I appreciate my journey, and I love that I withstood it and moved on and took the lessons and the blessings from my experiences. I have to say it just like that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Number 2, what lessons / takeaways have you received from being a part of this experience?
So many, but one of the main lessons is that you are accountable for what your life is.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power to create your life to be whatever you decide you want it to be, and to look like whatever you decide it should look like. You can't just continue to play the blame game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we didn't get the job opportunities that they got, because so my house don't have, it's not as comfortable as it should be, Oh, our children didn't get the educational opportunities, so we don't have the higher educational opportunities that the other people, Israeli Europeans, have in this society. No. You have the power to forge your life and make decisions that bring about the desired results of how you want your life to look.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it may not be picture perfect. You know what I'm saying?
And it may not come immediately.
It may not come immediately, but you have to take realistic steps by steps.
Right.
And make realistic and very decisive decisions about how you construct your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only way it's going to come out the way you want it. Nobody owes you nothing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you got to take your emotions. If you're one of the people that somebody stepped on your toe or pushed you on the basketball court 30 years ago and you still crying about it, you know what I'm saying? And if you're one of those people that you didn't get elevated in the elevation ceremony last year, so you're going to stop trying and you're just going to let it go, If you're one of the people that blame other conditions and situations in the past, and you use
and you're
those
stuck
things
there
to substantiate your stagnated thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Teach, Kheftsibah, teach. We in Shabbat service, y'all.
But I'm saying.
But it's true.
It's true.
All of what you're saying
Just
is definitely
stop
true.
That. Just stop reacting, because something is always going to happen to you.
Right.
Somebody going to always step on your toe. Somebody going to always say something about you that's true. Somebody's always going to blur your personality or give you a bad name.
Yeah.
People are going to do stuff like that, but that's not your problem.
Yeah, that's not your business. That's
and it's
their
not
business.
your business. And forgive them and move on for your sake.
And forgiveness does not mean, I will always say, turn the other cheek.
Right.
It does not mean you allow them into your space. Forgiveness Forgiveness is for you.
Right.
And you know, okay, I'm not getting ready to let that stay in my space
Right.
and have me all bundled up and messed up and I can't function.
Be
you know.
in control of your emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental health.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's your responsibility.
It's your responsibility.
Don't let people come and push your buttons.
Yeah.
And get you all. I used to do that.
Yeah. We've been there.
You know, and I've spent years reacting to one person.
Yeah.
Until I found out, oh, I can put my control panel under the desk, and nobody can even see it.
Right.
And push the buttons no more.
Exactly.
You know, and I don't have to react to that situation or even acknowledge it if I don't want to.
If you don't want to.
I can put my time and energy into something.
Into something else that
that's
benefits
gonna
me and
benefit
mine.
me and mine.
Yes, absolutely.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. That concludes Shabbat service with the Kohenet. Okay. Number 3. Do you have any goals, dreams, visions, etc. that you haven't yet accomplished that you'd like to accomplish besides Gan Evyatar? We know about that one.
Well, come to think of it, I was asked to become the head of the Artist Guild.
Right. We didn't talk about the Artist Guild. Okay.
But since we talked
Okay.
about the proposal,
Okay.
I was brought in and asked if I would be the head of the Artist Guild.
And you said yes.
How you gonna just answer?
No, that was a question.
I said yes.
Okay, all right.
Hopefully, the Artist Guild will become the ministry of the fine and visual arts.
Put it out there. Let's put it out there.
And see, Nasik, I didn't forget. I'm working on it. Nasik Emmanuel. And then we will turn up the fire underneath the creativity that's been latently, you know, put on the back eye.
Okay.
In the midst of our children and ourselves. And we can begin to produce arts on another level.
Okay.
These are the visual arts, which include ceramics, photography, drawing and painting, sculpture. What else? Did I say videography? Because it's definitely one. Those are the main ones.
Okay.
Those are the main ones.
So
coming your way soon. I personally, in that, and there are more of us that we are embarking on a journey to produce more art as standing members of the Artist Guild so that we can begin to have art displays and art shows.
Okay.
And, temporary galleries set up here and there. I want to produce more art. I want to create another collection.
Okay.
This is something that I want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Got to make it happen.
Okay. Number 4. What recommendations do you have, if any, to improve the lives of our people in the community, specifically in Israel?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
So, what is your loaded ideas? Because I know you got some.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you.
We talked about the lunar Sabbath. We
Yeah.
talked about that. That's one thing.
It is. I'm going to tell you, I got a real thing about unity.
Yeah.
I do. I just really don't think that we have reached our full potential because we have not understood, exemplified, and activated the potential of a unified people as we could.
Okay.
And this is what I want to see for the community as a whole, because I know that, there's 2 statements in what they call the first commandment. They said the first commandment is to hear, O Israel. Mm-hmm. And I say that's true.
Okay.
But the other side of that first commandment is, hear, O Israel, that Yahweh is one. Mm-hmm. Unity. I see the law of unity in that first commandment, which means that when you infuse unity in whatever you do, you're always going to come out on top.
Right.
Because where there's unity, there is strength.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just the way to go. One comes before all the other numbers.
Right. Right.
You know? And I think it's something that we need to take a very close look at it, you know, look at our culture, look at the things that we do, and do a double, triple, quadruple, quintuple.
You just making up words now.
I have the power to define it. Check. And if there are some things that we do without thinking about it, or we have infused or woven in the fabric of our practices, our daily practice and our communal ways, that somewhat diffuse unity.
Okay.
You know, can we be a little less judgmental? Can we pull back off of the separatist language? I and them, or they and us, and are we doing that? You know, and this is a very intricately woven tool in our culture that has, I feel, prevented us from becoming the unified people that we can be.
That we must be at the end of the day. It's be. Our survival depends on our unification.
We have to bring to the Creator our best, you know, because who knows better what we're capable of than He or them that created us? Who knows better? And if we shamming, like Abba used to say, we have to do the things that make ourselves the most valuable people that we can possibly be. And I believe that unity is one of those things.
Okay.
Unity. You know, sometimes, you know, you just got to reach out and hug somebody that you might think, you know, they're not really there, or they're not amongst the people that you usually hug every day. You know, that's just somebody that you don't really talk to because, you know, they're not in your clique or in your entity. You know, we do be thinking in divisive and separating ways. That's just too small, you know, examples. But we do that and much more. And it's much, much deeper than that. But I would like to see for our people unity, because I know that in unity we can do anything.
And everything.
And everything. We want to experience the epitome of what is promised. Let's come together even more than we are. Not saying I don't love what we have.
Right.
But
you can always elevate.
Yeah, because you ain't going nowhere on earth to get this, what we got.
Right. Right.
But let's make it better.
Wow.
Let's make it better. We can do it, y'all. Come on.
Gotta love Acote Kheftsibah, y'all. Gotta love her. And I lived next door to this for, what, a year and a half? Every day, all day.
We had so much fun, y'all.
We did. I remember when I got sick and you took me to Bay Caim.
Yep. I was like, come on, keep moving. Let's go.
You took me to Bay Caim. I stayed up there for a couple of days, and Nicole Marvika took me to Meat Spay and nursed me back to health.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kheftsibah and we've had our times.
We got history.
Yes, we do. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yep. See all the things I see. If I've changed something that I experienced, that I had the opportunity to go back and change it, then I wouldn't have experienced Rakaya.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have experienced Kheftsibah and her children.
And Rakaya held my hand on the airplane coming into Greece.
She liked to squeeze my hand off, y'all.
That was a ride.
Yeah, it was. And then the whole time we were in Greece, everything we went through, going out to the place and then couldn't get into the place where we were supposed to stay, and having to pay to come back to the airport, waiting in the airport, then getting on the flight that we weren't supposed to be on and running up to the gate.
We just need to have a whole Chronicles podcast on
that trip.
Yeah, the trip.
Getting
yeah.
picked up at what, 2:00 in the morning by your children?
And taxis was on strike.
Oh yeah, when we got to Greece, yeah. Oh man, that was. It has tarnished me. I never want to go back to Greece again. Everybody said, "Go visit Greece." Nope, I don't want to go to Greece.
No, thank you.
And it really wasn't Greece's fault.
It was
just the circumstances that particular time. But hey,
well, what did
we
learn?
made it.
What did we learn? We learned that we could go in the airport, and those little Israeli children that just got out of the army that was working at El Al, we stroked them,
And they
put us on a
hey,
first flight.
didn't you get a flight
out.
with didn't have to pay for your extra suitcase?
Right.
Then they ran us through security
Okay.
so we could get on our flight.
Yeah.
All of that,
We
and we had some great pasta at the restaurant.
Oh yeah, I got a new recipe, y'all.
Yeah, we did.
did.
It had its challenges, but we made the best of it, and we have memories. Our last question:
Okay.
is there anything that you'd like to say that has not been covered?
I want to say, I just want to give a shout out to the elders.
To the elders.
You know, I love the elders. Ima Arena, I love you, Ima Arena.
Yep.
I call her Dora Safta Acote Ima Arena. And Mara Shayura.
Mora Shira.
Mara Shayura, she's just, there's only one like her.
Only one. And Mora, we're still waiting for you to come to Living Chronicles.
Oh, I love Mara Shayura. And all of the elders in the community, I just want to send my love and for the courage that you all have had and the strength that you all show us to continue on. It's magic. And we don't want you to feel that. I don't want you to feel that you're not looked upon or it's not noticed, because it is. I love the elders. I love everybody.
Right.
I just want to say
A special shout out to the
a
elders.
special shout out to the elders right now. Yeah.
Hallelujah. Well, my sister, my friend, we've come to the end.
Because we 70 years old. That mean we elders
We
now.
70 years young, sweetie.
Oh, we 70 years young. I didn't say that right. That mean we elders too?
No, no, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, we got time. We still got time.
Shit.
Girl, we still got time.
Really?
So I would like to, as we close out, thank all of you for watching today's episode, and please continue to follow us. We have the shorts, reels on TikTok and Instagram. You can join our Facebook group, private group, with the podcasts are always posted there. You can go to the YouTube playlist. Please click the notification bell. Join us. You know, don't miss these. They're so life-giving. Every single one for me is like food for my soul, you know. So I get the blessing of sitting and hearing the story first, then going through editing and watching it all over again. And I love it. Kheftsibah, there's so much about you I did not know. And this has been awesome.
Hallelujah.
So
it's my pleasure and my privilege.
Toda. Until next time, peace, love, blessings, and prosperity to all of you.
Hallelujah.
Shalom.
Shalom.